we gather in both mourning and celebration. Mourning the passing of a beloved musician, father, husband, and friend, and celebrating the extraordinary life of a man who defied every odd, shattered every expectation, and turned his battle with illness into a beacon of hope for millions. Today, we remember Mike Peters, frontman of The Alarm, and a true warrior in every sense of the word. Mike Peters was not just a rock star, he was a force of nature. A man who stood tall in the face of cancer, not once, not twice, but again and again, for over 30 years. Diagnosed with lymphoma in 1995, and later chronic lymphocytic leukemia, Mike didn't step away from the spotlight. He walked straight into it. He sang louder, he played harder, and he smiled brighter, because he knew that every moment on stage wasn't just a performance, it was a victory. Through his music, he didn't just tell stories, he told the truth. The truth about pain, about perseverance, and about love. He wore his struggles openly, yet never let them define him. Instead, he redefined what it meant to fight. And on April 29th, the world lost more than a musician. We lost a storyteller, a humanitarian, a husband, a father, a fearless champion of the human spirit. But even as the world said goodbye, Mike's legacy roared louder than ever. In the village of Dysirth, where Mike had made his home, nestled among the green hills of Denbighshire, the celebration of his life unfolded not as a quiet farewell, but as a vibrant festival. Over 2,000 people gathered in the streets, outside the parish church of St. Bridget and St. Quaifan. They didn't come dressed in black. They came in denim jackets, in camouflage trousers, in alarm t-shirts, badges from past gigs, memories sewn into every thread. There was no somber silence. There was music. There were chants. There were cheers. There were tears, yes, but they flowed beside laughter. Fans brought picnics. Children danced, and voices rose to the skies as if to carry Mike's name into eternity. A giant screen was erected outside the small church, turning the village square into a sacred stage. Inside the church, only 150 could fit. But outside, thousands created a space that Mike would have loved, full of community, full of soul, full of sound. And when the service began, something magical happened. The crowd erupted into a familiar chant, going out in a blaze of glory, a line from The Alarm's anthem. And though Mike had passed, his voice, recorded and clear, echoed over the loudspeakers. It was as if he had returned one last time to lead his people in song. His sons, Dylan and Evan, carried their father's ashes, walking with quiet pride. Later, they took to the stage and performed, carrying on not just his name, but his spirit. His wife, Jules Peters, who had walked beside Mike through every step of his journey, every treatment, every tour, every triumph, paused on the footbridge before entering the church. Holding a single red rose, she turned to the crowd and whispered through tears, "Thank you." A simple phrase that held a world of love. Inside, tributes flowed like music. Longtime friend Billy Duffy of The Cult performed. So did Eddie McDonald, Mike's first bandmate from their teenage years. Slim Jim Phantom of the Stray Cats joined the chorus of remembrance. They didn't just play songs, they shared memories. Moments, laughter from the road, prayers from the dressing room, hugs backstage before one more show. One of the most emotional moments came when a recording of Mike's voice played to the congregation and to the crowd outside. It was Mike, reflecting on his 30-year journey with cancer. His voice was steady, calm, wise. And in that moment, thousands stood in total silence. You could hear birdsong between the sentences. And then, the tears, silent and steady, falling like rain. Leading the service was the Reverend Gregor Lachlan Waddell, who called it one of the greatest honors of his life. He spoke of Mike as a man marked by music, resilience, and unwavering hope. And then came something truly unforgettable, the minute of noise. Not silence, noise, the way Mike would have wanted it. The congregation inside and the thousands outside cheered. They clapped, they sang, they whooped and whistled, turning the solemn moment into a jubilant expression of life. For Mike, silence was never the answer. Sound was. James Chippendale, co-founder of the Love Hope Strength Foundation, Mike's cancer charity, flew in from Mexico to speak. He captured it best when he said, "A little bit grungy, a little bit long, a little bit funny, a little bit sad, great music, and just couldn't have been a more perfect ending." And oh, the stories people brought. Lily Elsed flew in from New Jersey. She had spent Christmas with the Peters family in the 1980s and called Mike a light in her life. She wept as she remembered his kindness. Marcus and Donna Hill from Barrie remembered playing on stage with Mike and still treasure the guitar pick he handed them. Mandy and Darren Mander, along with their daughter Charlotte, came from Birmingham, regulars at Mike's Red Cafe in Dysart. Charlotte said with a teary smile, "I was brought up on the alarm. Mom and Dad took me to the gathering every year." Each fan had a story, and each story felt like part of a much larger symphony, one that Mike had composed over a lifetime of love and connection. Even after the service, the tributes kept coming. Bono of U2 said Mike's courage, both on stage and off, was something the world could learn from. Members of Simple Minds, the Manic Street Preachers, and many more paid their respects, calling Mike one of the bravest men in music. But perhaps Mike's most enduring achievement was Love Hope Strength, the cancer charity he and Jules created together. Through their Get on the List campaigns at concerts, they added over 250,000 people to global stem cell registries and directly saved hundreds of lives. The stage became a platform. The song became a mission. In 2019, Mike was awarded an MBE for services to cancer care. But anyone who ever met him knew, Mike never did this for awards. He did it because he believed in music, in healing, in people.